Hi, friends. I'm Scott Giles, and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypnotic coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you'd like to know more about my professional work or sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Well, today I want to talk about setting boundaries with others. This is a major theme in my work and one I return to often. I believe it's especially important in our time as people seem to be having more problems with this than in days gone by. I'm not sure why. But there is something, I think, going on in culture, and I don't think it's healthy. Now, setting a boundary means you set a limit. You decide that there are some things that you are responsible for and other things that are someone else's issue, not yours. It's a decision about how much you will allow other people to influence you and how much consideration you will give to advice from others. You also decide when you will call a halt to someone's attempt to influence or control you. Or as I sometimes say, quoting an Eastern European proverb, knowing when to say, not my circus, not my monkey. Now, all of us are subject to the influence of others and even to some degree control. For example, I live in the great state of Illinois, and there are things in my life that are controlled by the government. The rules of the road, for example, as well as other laws and obligations. I can't set a boundary that implies I'm going to ignore those laws. That would not end well for me. So I live within the control of the state government. But that said, it's really important to know where you leave off and other people begin. Because everything that's alive, with one exception, needs boundaries to prosper and thrive. All creatures have them. Even a virus needs a protein shell. But there is one creature only in creation, that can thrive without a boundary, and that is the cancer cell, which is, in its essence, transgressional and invasive. Don't be like a cancer cell. Now, in order to have boundaries, you start with your values. What do you think is important and what do you need to feel fulfilled and content? Then you protect your turf. If something is important to you but not to other people who are in relationship with you, then you have every right to let them know where your limits are and what you value. And most of the time, good people will have no problem with that. They'll even be grateful for the information. But if you encounter someone who doesn't care what's important to you or ignores it, then there is an issue. Now, sometimes we have to abide that. If your employer doesn't care about what you think work should be like, they're the boss and it gets done their way. You can respectfully suggest you can quit. But in an employee situation, it's the employer's prerogative to make the call. Ditto if you're in the military and a superior officer gives you an order, or you're in a similar hierarchical situation. But if hierarchical rules do not apply and someone else simply doesn't respect you or doesn't care about what you say or need, then you should find a way to set a boundary and not let your needs be ignored. For example, you can say to your significant other, I'm mostly happy to watch the shows you like on Netflix, but this one is one I really want to watch. Would you like to watch it with me, or should I watch it by myself? But not watching it isn't on the table. That is boundary setting, and it's essential to happiness and good relationships. Here's an important lesson to take from this podcast. You can't set boundaries for another person. You only have a right to decide what you want, feel, believe, or intend to do. But you should hold on to those things when under pressure. If you've told someone you do not wish to be spoken to in a particular way and they violate that, you have a right to push back. You can do it politely. As I have explained, I don't care to be addressed that way. Please address me as blank. But if they still ignore you, then you have to realize you are with someone who really doesn't care about you, regardless of what they claim. They may say they do, but if they ignore your boundary setting, then no, they really don't respect you. It is kind of an absolute test. Now, in my life, when a boundary is violated, I politely but firmly reassert it. If it's still ignored, well, then it's time to conclude the interaction. Time to call the evening or the meeting over, time to adjourn, time to pull back from interaction and make it clear that things are not okay. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to be mean-spirited. But if you do not want to live like a cancer cell, then you need to be firm. And I mean that. If you set a boundary and then let someone roll right over it because you feel conflict avoidant or something, that's a problem in you. And I absolutely guarantee there will be a next time and that it will be worse. Always remember, in our relationships, whatever behaviors we reinforce, we get more of. So I believe it's important for all of us not to drift through life following the path of least resistance and doing what others want us to do. That may be easy, but you will not feel fulfilled in your life. Fulfillment requires definition, and boundary setting is one of the primary ways you create that definition. So in closing, I want to suggest a book that I frequently recommend to clients and which I have found enormously important in my own life. The book is titled Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. It's a New York Times bestseller and it's luminous, told from both a psychological and mainstream spiritual perspective. It gently and clearly helps one discover the why and how of boundary setting. Check it out if you have an issue with this. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. I'd like to invite you to join me. It does help me if you let others know about my work and my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, if I can be of help to you, reach out through my email, my website, or my Patreon channel. And have a great week.